The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
One of the landlord's other units in the neighborhood was recently vacated due to an eviction. One of my neighbors who was thinking of moving into the place once it's fixed back up was checking out what the landlord had to deal with and where the landlord was starting from. I just happened to be walking by on my way back from a trip to the store, and he was all, "Get a load of this, man, these people trashed this place." Now, we both knew that those folks were hoarders. Really bad hoarders. I mean, you could smell the place from the street, but we had no idea. It was one of those things in life that you just wish you could unsee. And here I am worrying about, oh no, there's a little bit of dirt that I have to sick the vacuum robot on, or there's an actual cobweb in the corner. Yeah, I feel a lot better about things now, because I don't know how you let a place get that bad unless you have no standards for years on end or something like that. However, it was one of those things in life that you wish you could unsee. But that experience has left me with a very clear mandate. Be better than them. First off, laundry on a Wednesday night. Woohoo! Actually, what this is, these are brand new towels, and I'm just running through the wash ones because there's probably going to be a ton of lint. I'm going to start color matching things in this place. Assuming there isn't any rent increase after the lease gets renewed, I intend on sprucing the place up so everything matches and all kinds of other cool stuff like that. I did bring over some things from my last place, but I don't know if I'll be keeping them there, like those black curtains over there. That's from the old place. I might be better off going with navy blue or something along those lines. I tend to like navy blue. Seems to go well with this place if daylight bulbs are used. Yep, brand new curtains. We're gonna turn things blue and make things match in this place. The down fan setup is also working quite well. I'm just trying to home in on a temperature to leave the thermostat at, so this thing kicks on when that thing is running, and then keeps the heat going until it gets back to the temperature we started at. Also want to get the placement right too. I think I should have the drying rack and the down fan underneath the central light in the central room in the place to get some circulation going in the center, but man, this thing got warped during the summertime when I was squeezing it into the windowsills. It's not the heat from, I don't think it's the heat from, it's not close enough to the furnace to be taking in any heat from it. Not even close. But yeah, cheap Walmart piece of crap. I don't expect it to last very long, but at least it has a thermostat. I got one more of these to burn out too, and then, interestingly enough, Walmart is selling these things even though it's the off-season for them. They still got a few sitting in the store, maybe for ventilation or something, like if you stink up your garage and want to air it out. I don't know. Whatever.
Ew, an actual cobweb.
Well, the thing is, one of the things about these places is this landlord knows a thing or two about how to furnish a unit so that even if the person trashes it, it's easy to flip and re-rent. This paint is amazing. I don't know what kind of paint this is, but this clear-coated stuff, nearly every surface in the place cleans with a damp sponge, or even a worn-out duster like this piece of crap. Look at that. There we go. Boom. No more. Bada bing. No more cobweb. This place also gets a lot less cobwebs than the old place. It's just so much better across the board, even though it's a basically double-wide trailer plus in terms of its size. Whatever. Okay, manually overriding the down fan. Not quite working the way I want it to yet. I can already feel a sizable, I can already feel the heat up here in the air, but down on the ground, my feet are cold. The floor's cold too. Time to get the down fan going. We gotta run this for a while to even out the heat in the place before I call it a night. Just gotta find the right thing to set it to so that this thing can do its thing. but at the same time, the down fan cannot stay on all the time if there's nothing that still needs to be cooled. The project area. I wanted to clean it up by any means necessary, and this was the results I got. Too bad all three of those subs can't all fire at the same time, not like they do very much anyways. None of them can go below 30 Hertz. I think the Klipsch might if I put some new drivers in it. Regardless, the great Sift must continue, because that's the only way I'm going to declutter this place and live better than those bozos that trash their units. So, this is the perfect time of the year before Thanksgiving to get this done. The volume is dead in the warehouse. So I'm sure nobody will have a problem with an early dismissal on Friday so I can go to the recycling center. Thing is, I gotta have something to bring to the darn recycling center. Let's make that happen. First, since we're picking up where we left off with this whole great Sift thing, the original tablet from 2014 and 2015 is getting retired. The USB is kaput on this thing. It had a dual-core processor versus its successor having a quad-core processor, and the design of the Zen pad is leaps and bounds above the design of the Memo pad. I mean, this thing didn't feel as good to hold as this thing does with its metal edge and stuff like that. Plus the glass is darker, quad-core processor, a little bit more horsepower. This thing you'd be lucky if you could get a GPS out of. But I took this thing apart, looked at the board, thought the power thing was soldered on, and it was just a mess. And I was thinking, you know what? All that work to solder in a new jack or find some other way to charge this thing for a dual core that this thing already performs better than that thing did? That's a no-brainer. It's kind of, well, before we stop talking about it, it's kind of a first and worst in that respect. But the thing with this tablet is that it's kind of like your very first pair of glasses. You always trash your first pair of glasses because you don't know how to take care of a pair of glasses yet. It's the same thing with mobile devices. You'll trash your first tablet, you'll trash your first smartphone, you'll trash your first MP3 player. It's just the way things work. But it is most unfortunate that I can't repurpose the Finty case that worked so well for this, simply because the camera has moved as well. But this Asus case, it's an adult case, so you don't want to have your kids using this. They'll drop it and it'll be all over. But way more pocket friendly. This thing is way more pocket friendly, and I've already gotten some people like, dude, where did you get a phone that big? I'm like, it's not a big phone, it's a small tablet. I got some of that with this thing, but I'm getting even more of it with this thing. It makes me wonder what's going to happen when the Asus ZenPads move into Qualcomm Snapdragon or some other post-Intel Atom something or another. So this thing is done. Likewise, whoa, watch the bin there. Likewise, the battery hasn't been charged in almost a year, so it's probably so dead that it's destroyed at this point. So, recycle and keep the good one. Staples, cable ties, of which I've used a few of them, but I still have a bunch of these, still new. Well, we'll use them anyways. I gotta stop being afraid of cable management. One of the big problems I have is that stuff that costs a couple of dollars like this, I tend to use it like it's the last package of cable ties on the face of the planet. I really gotta understand, this is a couple dollars. It's not gonna break the bank if I have to get more because I'm that good at using Velcro ties instead of horrendous zip ties for cable management in my systems. Boo! I should be better at this than that. I should be better at cable management than I am. The great Sift has had no shortage of hard decisions. And one of the hard decisions that I've decided to make with the great Sift is to get rid of all miscellaneous audiovisual cables that aren't black. These Radio Shack 16-foot 3.5mm headphone extension cables have been working with my hack job systems and making me really glad that I have them for over 10 years. These things date back to college, when I was going absolutely crazy with 3.5mm minis. Today, I know better. I'm not trying to hack job the living daylights out of sets of computer speakers connected via 16-foot headphone extension cables. And I'm not using a portable CD player to power a several hundred-watt music system. So yes, they are done. Period. If I ever need mega long mega long mini plug, mini jack, whatever cables again. We live in the monoprice era. Monoprice is a thing these days. Likewise with the horrid-ass speaker wire that came with the speaker sets like the Logitech Zs. No, I wouldn't use this stuff. I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemies. And it's not that hard to find speaker wire with a decent gauge to it. So this stuff is doing pretty much nothing, and nobody with any enthusiasm for electronics is going to want to use this for anything. So that's done. Behold, a set of Logitech Z313s. They're horrible. They're the kind of off-the-shelf Target special that you can find in big box stores. But they at least make a little bit of noise, but that's the only thing they have going for them. They still work though, so I'm gonna find some use for them. The whole kitchen speakers thing that I used to do, where I would put these on top of kitchen cabinets, then plug a music player into them and play music that way, it hasn't really been something that I've really done a lot with in recent weeks, months, whatever, but I just don't want to throw these out. They're in like-new condition, because I haven't hardly used them, because after I was dumb enough to buy them, I was smart enough to realize these things are never going to displace any of my current systems for anything. I don't even think I have any use for them at the project area, because the Klipsch 4.1s will do the trick quite nicely, or the Logitech Zs, and those could certainly use some more action. I think these will be kitchen speakers. Maybe I should just set them back up. Yeah, let's do that. Towels are done. Are they 2/3 dry because they're towels? Yeah, sort of. See how much lint we have from these brand new blue ones. That's why I wash them first. Look at that. Look at that nonsense. Good news is it's wet. If it wasn't wet, it would be extremely flammable. Somehow I don't think those towels and lint freeze are going to require a full cycle to dry. Ooh! Listen to that bass that isn't really bass. Department store speakers for the loss. Okay, that's enough of that crap. Ugh. Apologies to the turd Shiba for that one. I don't even get why those horrible little things are ported in the first place. It's bad. They got phase plugs and ports for a driver that size. Just put a bunch of features in. Yay, that'll get people to buy something. Kind of like putting a 4-inch mid-range in an echoey wooden box and calling it a subwoofer. Oh wait, we're zoomed. Yeah, make the equipment look classier than it actually is. And it'll actually sell. Logitech has been taking some lessons from Bose, apparently. And now, back to my grandiose quest to become a Dark Lord of the Sift. Or something like that. Here is an Enermax power supply circa the early 2000s. It was 460 watts max, and that was a lot back then. Has no support for serial ATA, but it does have support for extra power for the processor, and look at all that horrible ketchup and mustard cable. So, the big issue with any power supply... Ooh, did one of these burn up on me or something? Did I have a burnt connector? Well, anyways. The problem with old power supplies is, number one, the main connectors for the motherboards have gotten bigger. There's serial ATA nowadays, and of course there's other things as well. But the thing with the older power supplies is that any power supply that I'm not using right now is probably mid-2000s or earlier. This thing dates back to the early 2000s, which means we might have some... it's the same generation as capacitor plague. If I had a screwdriver nearby, I'd take a look inside and see if anything was bulging yet. But I'm not really that certain that it's really worth taking any of this stuff apart. But this thing, however, is not worth keeping, and I won't be keeping it. It doesn't hold up nowadays, although it was very well built back in its day. You can tell because this grill was actually attached as opposed to just carved out of the metal. There's a little cost-saving something or another's that you can notice in some of these. I can give you a hint as to what you should use and what you shouldn't use. My curiosity got the better of me. No signs of bulging there. Anything going on here? What's this gunk in the middle? Is this supposed to be here? I don't know if it's glue or something that leaked or something like that. Those are flat. The little one, is that flat too? Yeah, it looks kind of flat. It's just picked up a little bit of dust over the years. Of course, this thing's been to college and back. The other electrolytics look fine. I'm sure this power supply would work, but I have no use for it. I'm not so sure I'd want to run anything off of it either. It's outdated. Doesn't really have anything. It doesn't even have good fans. I mean, I would never have a system with fans this small anymore. 120 at the minimum. Sheesh. So old. So obsolete. Well, at least it was well built back in the early 2000s. Well built as in, there doesn't seem to be a lot in here that looks like it's some kind of cost-cutting thing. If I have another power supply, actually, I should compare this, because I wonder if I still have the turbo link, or if I got rid of that already. Let's do some digging. And just like that, it's day 2, and I'm coming to the sobering realization that I really don't have much to sift anymore. The Great Sift can start turning into the Great Reorganization. Most of what I need to clean up this rat's nest is simply a better way of storing these parts. Like the old, tired parts bin setup like this. No, I think I'd be better served with something with drawers on wheels that can be wheeled around and things like that. But basically, yeah, something that's not this. I could also do something with storage bags too. Actually using storage bags to, well, store things. But yeah, I looked back over some older videos about the Great Sift, and I looked back over some old videos about the Great Sift, and I did get rid of some big stuff like the other power supply and things like that. The only one I could really find to compare this one to in terms of build quality is this one from the HP from the late 90s, which is one of the things I'll be getting rid of. But as much as this had the cutouts versus an actual grill, this is a cost-cutting move, a sign of a crappy power supply. The thing is, the wattage on this is a lot lower than the wattage on that, so the thing about heavier, beefier components is kind of apples to oranges here, so it doesn't really work, even though I'm eventually getting rid of both of these anyways. So yeah, as much as I like to think the Great Sift is something that I need to do more with, I think the real solution is the Great Reorganization. Namely, don't just dump everything into a container. Have homes for things. Or, as we say with the 5S, 6S stuff at work, everything has its place, that place is labeled, you know what's where, and can spot easily if something's out of place. But that is another discussion for another day. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.